Before we start, here's a quick guide from Lord Garbelius. Please drop down in the description, give him your support, jump on his Patreon, check him out. Really good stuff. Thank you, Lord Garbelius. What's up, everybody? Soul here with another sort of Convallaria video, and today we're taking a look at our girl, Nydia, having a blast with her. She does a lot of damage, and she is absolutely bonkers. Love her to death. Let's talk about her trait first and foremost right away. So right here we have Seal of Dark Feather. This is physical damage is dealt, is converted to magical damage. At the start of the battle, she gains Armor of Ice for 3 turns. When Nydia's basic attack hits a target with black feathers, it triggers 1,000 black feathers. This consumes black feather from the basic attack target and inflicts 1 frostbite for 1 turn. Really good stuff right there. And then it says down here at the bottom, adds 10% magical attack to physical attack. And then at the start of the turn, it increases her black feathers. It inflicts black feathers on the 2 closest enemies within 4 tiles of the character without black feathers. And so as we can see right here, that Armor of Ice is a physical shield for 60% of her magic attack. She gains immunity to frost, and then after being hit by a melee attack, it inflicts a move down 1. Really good stuff there. And then Black Feather during Nydia's current turn, it triggers 1,000 black feathers when hit by her basic attack. It consumes black feathers, which is a nice little AoE damage, which is going to show right here. 1,000 black feathers. When this effect is triggered, Nydia's basic attack skill multiplier is reduced by 10%. The 1,000 black feathers damage effect then deals 80% AoE damage to all enemies within 2 tiles of the target. Nydia can trigger 1,000 black feathers up to 4 times per basic attack on a single target, with the skill multiplier of the last 3 hits reduced by 15%. And then Frostbite is life loss. At the end of the turn, loses HP equal to 50% of the sum of the caster's physical attack and magic attack. Really good stuff right there. It does a lot of damage. Boom, 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 boom is what you're going to see. So at 2 stars, that effect is increased to any enemies within 4 tiles. It's changed to 5 tiles. Will gain a black feather for free passively. And then at 3 stars, it adds 20% instead of 10% of her magic attack to her physical attack, which is really good. And then damage is increased by 10%, and the max range of basic attacks is increased by 1 tile. In the start turn, she inflicts on the 3 closest enemies within 5 tiles. So a lot of boost there at 3 stars. Definitely a big difference. And then at 4 stars, we're still at the 20%. Her damage is increased by 20% flat. And then it's within 6 tiles now. 3 closest enemies within 6 tiles. Really good there. And then at 5 stars, there's the big jump. 30% of her magical attack is added to her physical attack. Huge. Damage is increased by 30%. Huge. And then her basic attack range is increased by 2 tiles. Really good. We got a true sniper here. And then at the start of the turn, it inflicts black feathers on the 4 closest enemies within 6 tiles. And then when actively using a basic attack, the character recovers 1 energy and reduces all class skill cooldowns by 1 turn. Can be triggered 1 time per round. So if you like Nydia, she clearly pops off at 5 stars. I think her first breakpoint is 3 stars. I think you get a lot of value out of that 3-star rank. 4 stars doesn't feel bad with a 10% boost in that damage. It's really good. And then of course any enemies within 6 tiles just gives it a little extra range. It's not bad, but I think 5 stars is where it really breaks off and turns into something great past that 3-star point. So if you really like her, you definitely want to go all the way to 5 stars. If you just kind of like her, but maybe you're not going to use her too often, 3 stars is a healthy stopping point where she breaks and does really good. But I would highly suggest getting 5-star all the way, especially if you really like her. Now, let's take a look at her abilities. Her innate ability that she comes with is Cloud of Black Feathers. This is a support instant. She gains Cloud of Black Feathers, consuming 1 energy while channeling. 1,000 black feathers. Effect range is increased by 1 tile. And then basic attacks trigger 1,000 black feathers 1 additional time. Really good stuff right there. As you can see, that's what it's doing for you. What a phenomenal skill right there. Let's take a look at her ranks. Now at rank 1, you have Knight's Glory dash Ice over here. It's a support instant where the target gains attack 2, lasting for 3 turns. And when the target is a Union character, they additionally get that Armor of Ice for 3 turns as a 4-turn cooldown. I did not pick this up, obviously. I don't think there's anything wrong with this. I picked up what's on the right here, which is Insight. It's a passive where her physical attack is increased by 8%. Before attacking, she dispels 1 defensive attribute from the target. I don't think it, I haven't used this much at all. I really don't see much use in it. So I actually am tempted to recommend getting Knight's Glory over Insight. It's really up to you. Knight's Glory, I think, would end up having more use in certain settings, and I think I'd value having the HP over the defense in the long run. So Knight's Glory is what I'm going to suggest you to get. Now at rank 3, you get Frost Trap, which is a support instant. Again, it places 1 Frosty Trap, and then that Frosty Trap is when a character passes through or stops on it. It deals piercing damage equal to 10% of their HP, interrupts their turn, and inflicts Frozen for 1 turn. And then turn tiles within 1 tile into Frosty for 2 turns. So this thing's doing a lot. It interrupts their turn, it freezes them, which is going to cost them another turn. It also makes them immune to physical damage, though, if I remember correctly. But anyways, and then also creates some frost tiles. There's a lot of benefit here and a lot of good things happening in this ability. I picked up what's on the right here. All preparations complete when unharmed. When an unharmed state, increases your crit by 20%, your crit damage by 10%. This is a passive. I picked this one up. Man, once again, I thought I'd be using this. I tried switching out a couple different abilities and whatnot, but I kind of wish I got that Frosty Trap. I think it has more utility and it gives her more diversity in her gameplay. So this is yet again what I'm thinking would be the better. However, I would rather have the HP than the defense. So it's really up to you. I think Frosty Trap might be the play. Either way, you can pick either one, whichever you prefer. Now up here at rank 5, you have her reaction skills. Deathbird's Wings. Reaction reduces AoE damage taken by 40%, while under any channeling effect, movement is increased by 1. So that's really important because you're going to be channeling all the time with her. She's got quite a few channeling abilities, and it's something that you're going to want to use on her. And so this is pretty nice. It does some pretty decent stuff in giving her that extra movement. That has a lot of value. Now, the reduction of AoE damage, that's hit or miss. Obviously, it's a bit niche and situational, but still pretty good right there. And then, of course, you're getting attacked by 3%. So this is a pretty good reaction. Over here on the left, you've got Winter Protection. This is a reaction. When attacking enemies with move down and speed down, she gains ice armor for 2 turns, and then can be triggered 1 time per round. When actively attacked by enemies with move down and speed down, reduces damage by 30%. So for me, this is the one I really liked having this, and so this is what I would suggest you to get. This is really big in that you're going to be inflicting move down and speed down. We'll see that here in a minute, but getting that Armor of Ice is really good, just for free basically. So yeah, really good stuff, really nice to have. Now up here at rank 7, you've got Deathbird's Eyes. When 1,000 black feathers, this is a passive, triggers, and additionally inflicts frostbite and move down 1 for one time for 1 turn. Can be activated 1 time per target per round. So basically, anytime you're hitting those explosions, you're popping them off. You're additionally inflicting another layer of frostbite and then move down. So this is a big deal. This really helps you pop off with this reaction, as we read down below. This is really good damage over time. This is really good stuff right here. On the right is what I'd suggest you to pick up. If you have the Castell, get that Deathbird's Eyes. However, Death Sentence is what I would suggest you to get, and so this is a support instant where it inflicts black feather on all enemies within 3 tiles of the target for 2 turns. It steals 1 energy and 2 buffs from the target. Casting the skill, the character gains damage 2, Armor of Ice, and Death Sentence. All effects last for 2 turns. So really good stuff right here. I personally love this. I think this is her go-to ability. This is like her ultimate, if you will. You're really gonna mark up a bunch of enemies and do some really good things there. And so it's just a very, very important ability to have. And then that death sentence, when active, it doubles the number of enemies that can be inflicted with Black Feather in trait. After an active basic attack, performs a basic attack on 2 farthest targets with Black Feather within the basic attack range. And then of course with this skill, multiplier is reduced by 10%. So getting 2 free basic attacks, triggering more of those feathers. This is really, really good if your enemies aren't necessarily positioned the best. You can attack someone close, or at least you know that is closer than the farthest targets, and you can ensure that you get those back targets in the distance with this. Really good stuff. So I don't see any here where it says you get it steals energy and 2 buffs. So that's really, really big right there. I can't tell how many times I'm using this and on a big crowd of enemies, and you get, like, you target 5 enemies, they all have 5 energy, you're getting 5 energy. So she absolutely refills her energy and you're getting great buffs. This is massive to be able to steal right there. So really good stuff. Up here at rank 9, you have 2 options for your basic attack. You have Ice Arrow on the left, and so this is a single target attack, does 85% physical damage. It's a curved shot, so it goes around things, and then inflicts move down and speed down for 2 turns. This is my preference of a basic attack, especially in damage over time. However, you can't skip the one on the right. If you've got the Stalia, you're going to want both of these. This is Trill. And so this is a basic attack, single target attack that deals 85% physical damage by a curved shot. After actively attacking, it draws in the first enemy in each direction in a cross-shaped range for 3 tiles around the target. And so it drags them in by those tiles. So that's a really nice thing right there. It drags them in by 1 tile. So you'll pop it. You'll hit enemies and it'll pull them closer to the target that you have if there is room for them to move. That really helps her AoEs pop and do a lot of damage. So really a big deal for her, especially when you're just trying to do out and out damage with those explosions. So this is a phenomenal ability to get. It's really hard to know which one you want the most, but I kind of think the one on the left, Ice Arrow, for damage over time. The one on the right for your just straight up damage and AoE damage. So really good stuff here. At rank 11, you have Breath of Winter. This is a support instant where she gains Breath of Winter, consuming 2 energy while channeling. Yet again, we're channeling. When casting or triggering skills, you inflict 1 frostbite on the enemy for 1 turn. If the caster has a physical shield and the target is affected by a move down, the then inflicts 1 additional frostbite. Only 1 additional frostbite can be inflicted per target per round. So if you got the Castalia, this is another one that you want. Absolutely want. This is part of your damage over time build. If you're not worried about damage over time, then by all means, don't touch it. However, this will absolutely make that damage over time pop off and do really big things. At a 2 energy cost and a 1 turn cooldown, it's really nice. And with Coco, you just, you don't have to worry about that. Of course, that's just to activate it. You're channeling, so you're going to keep it rolling and moving the whole time, hopefully. Over here on the right, you've got Rain of Arrows. So this is a support instant where she gains Rain of Arrows, consuming 2 energy while channeling. It increases magic attack and physical attack contribution ratio from trait by half. After an active basic attack performs an additional basic attack on the closest target within the basic attack range, with its skill multiplier reduced by 10%. And so this is a really nice one, consuming that energy but increasing your magic attack and physical attack by the ratio of the trait by half is really, really big. You're going to do lots of big damage there. And then of course, after your basic attack, you're performing an additional basic attack on the closest target within the basic attack range. So an extra free hit, more AoE damage, more splash. This is really good for your AoE pops and bursts. with that all said, let's talk about the builds. I've done quite a bit of testing and running and looking at different things. And so for me, your out and out damage through AoE is Trill. Of course, you got that winter protection as a reaction. You're going to want to pick up that death sentence. It's all important. Rain of arrows, and then cloud of black feathers. And so those are your abilities. For me, I found that the melee mega crossbow did the most damage consistently over the other bows when we're doing just out and out AoE damage. And then I loved the blood Luxite amulet. I don't have her signature trinket. However, this is what I was utilizing on her to do a lot of damage, and it really did a good job. I felt that it was very strong in this instance. I didn't go with the Shield of Justice, which is a solid secondary choice in this build, because I was requiring her to move in and get close to that melee crossbow, and I would often lose that shield and the benefit of that trinket. So I would absolutely suggest you stick with the blood Luxite amulet, and especially running that melee crossbow. Very, very good stuff right there. And then I ran the sword and the wand for that resonance. That way, when you're moving, you're picking up that extra attack and defense, making the most out of your movements. For that Tarot Whisper, Dream of the Magician is super duper solid. Amazing tarot on her. Really, I can't fathom having too much of anything else. I'm going to do some rerolling trying to find her a better one. I want one with physical attack and magic attack, but regardless, this was a phenomenal Tarot Whisper on her at all times. Now let's talk about her damage over time build. And so with that, we're switched over to Ice Arrow. We still got the same reaction. We definitely have kept Death Sentence. Now we have Breath of Winter and Deathbird's Eye. And so with this build, I have tested quite a bit as well, and I have found that Longbow of the Martyrs is my absolute preference. In this build, I love to pick up the extra little bit of damage and to do all that extra snazziness. I actually have the wrong Shield of Justice on her right here. Let me switch that really quickly, give you that. So on this, I absolutely love that she gets this Resonance Sword and Pentacle, and I'm with the damage over time, and I'm absolutely running that Shield of Justice because I don't want her to take damage in this build. I want her to stay back. We're not limited by the melee crossbow. So we are staying back, we're staying protected, we're hitting our enemies as best we can, and so keeping that shield up and alive and getting the benefit of it, and then of course getting that resonance that gives us that unharmed bonus of the constant attack and defense. That way we don't even have to move, and so we can just keep on popping the damage out with having to take a single step, and it's good consistent damage. And then of course you got that Dream of the Magician again as a Tarot Whisper. Just absolutely phenomenal. There's no two ways about it. She's doing AoE damage, so you almost always want this on her at all times. And so for me, that was the only two ways that I really found that I play her reliably. She is absolutely phenomenal. So with that said, let's take a look at her in battle. Here we are. Now in this fight, I don't have her exactly geared the way that I've just shown you. This is one of my test runs where I'm kind of having fun with her and playing. However, she just absolutely destroys things in this. And so this is what I decided to utilize it. She destroys things in most everything, but regardless. Anyways, Aisha moves up. Of course, we got her set as her person to protect. We got Ida in the mix. She's going to throw down that lovely liquor to kind of zone and control our enemies. Gloria's there for the aura, and then we've got No for the AoE vulnerability, though we don't really get an opportunity to use it too much, and then Coco for that wonderful battery support, lowering cooldown and everything else. Now Aisha here is going to get pulled away. That's unfortunate, but it is what it is, and Nydia gets pulled here. We don't really want her to take damage. I think I've got her under damage over time, but I'm not sure. Regardless, she is going to pop off, do some great things. We just saw No put out the AoE vulnerability. Aisha's giving those counter attacks and getting healed off them. Super duper good. Love her counter build. It is so busted in my opinion. Here they come. We dodged, it's no problem. We're gonna go ahead and set up. Oh yeah. Let's get some big damage. Oh, just goodbye. Goodbye everything. Really, really good. A lot of fun. We still got lots of enemies marked up with those black feathers. Aisha taking the hits like it's nothing. Glory comes over. We're gonna get the flag down. Why not? Aisha eating big attacks there from the breaker. She doesn't mind too much. Coco doing what Coco does best. That beautiful tanking. Thank you, Aisha. Well coming over, getting involved. Gotta get rid of that mage. Nydia coming over, taking out that guy. Getting our instant AoE hit in. And finishing that person off. Thank you, Aisha. More beautiful fireworks. Gotta love it. Just erasing people. Nydia is so strong. It's going to be hard to imagine that people aren't going to be rushing in for her and talking about her for quite a time to come. She really does some great AoE damage. Some decent damage there on a single target. As you can tell, it's not quite as good, but that target's a little resistant. It plays by different rules than these other characters in this map, but still, it is the thing. Just gonna make our way over and finish this fight up. Thank you, No Will. Get a little damage in there, and Nydia with a great hit. And so there you have it, Nydia, our girl, with the AoE damage. I've run many a test on her and tried quite a few different things. She is absolutely a blast to play. It is very satisfying to see all this splash AoE damage and see all the numbers and to see people just disappearing across your screen. It is so much fun. It's like playing dot to dot in a tactics game. And so I can't stress enough how good this character is. If you're on the fence about pulling her, do it. If you're not sure about pulling her, you don't like her, by all means skip her. It's not going to kill your game not to have her. But if you're on the fence or you're feeling like you do want her, do it. She is awesome. Now, with those tests that I mentioned just a second ago, I have to stress, I feel that overall her damage, well, I know her damage overall is highest off her damage over time. However, most of the time in your Cower Conquest and things like that, your opponents won't survive long enough to really make it worthwhile. And then you don't want to necessarily give them opportunities to take a turn before they die from their damage over time. So it's just sometimes outright erasing them with straight damage and AoE is great. However, if you come across a map where you're not able to take those enemies out quickly and they're surviving more for multiple rounds, giving you a fuss, or there's just a plethora of them, switch over to damage over time. In your boss fights, switch over to damage over time. She is awesome. And that damage over time, damage is absolutely better than her regular physical damage, just doing AoEs. It does a lot more, in my opinion. That is what I have tested. And of course, I'm running that Longbow of the Martyrs on her and whatnot. Now, on her out and out damage, AoE damage, I have tested the other bows, including Longbow of the Martyrs, including Star Raid Crossbow, and of course Mega Melee Crossbow. And in my opinion, or not my opinion, the numbers, Star Raid Crossbow actually comes in last on the damage. It looks like it would be great. It looks like it should do a ton with the AoE and the piercing and the damage, blah blah blah, but it actually comes in dead last. Longbow of the Martyrs is the second best option, with Melee Mega Crossbow the best option for her out and out damage, AoE damage. So that's what I have found. If you want, test it out, give me a shout, let me know what you find. However, that is what I have absolutely seen with the numbers and what I've recorded, and I really can't fathom that it's going to show something otherwise unless there's some kind of something skewed in the data and in the equipment and in the resonances and blah blah blah. So with that all said, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope this is a huge benefit to you and that you enjoy playing Nydia. And if you're on the fence about her, go get her because she's phenomenal. Thanks so much for watching. A huge shout out to my Patreon members. I really, truly appreciate y'all. The support you give to this channel is what allows me to make the pools, to make the content, and the guides for our community. So thank you so much. If you're interested in joining our Patreon, please consider hitting the link down below, where your help, your support will absolutely make a difference in what we do on this channel. And then of course we got a link for our Discord down there as well, where we'd be glad to have you, where we talk all things sort of Convallaria and then some. And yeah, thank you so much for watching up to this point. Until next time, everyone, good luck in your sort of Convallaria adventures, and I truly appreciate you. Bye.